You've been trying to get your hands on a new PlayStation 5 or an Xbox Series X since release, or you're a PC gamer and you've been trying to upgrade your GPU for the last year. And what you've noticed is that no consoles are in stock, no GPUs are in stock, and whatever is out there gets bought up really quickly and resold on the used market for exorbitant prices. You thought the shortages would last a month or two, maybe 3 months, but you never expected it to last this long. And I'm about to say that it's going to be much worse before it gets any better. Let's talk about why there's so much shortage and why you can't get your hands on a PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X, or any of the GPUs on PC. And there's a couple of reasons why, and some of them are in our control, some of them aren't, so this is going to be a good one. Both Microsoft and Sony's consoles, the Xbox Series X, the PlayStation 5, the Xbox Series S, all of them are using APUs out of AMD. APUs combine the power of a CPU and a GPU in one chip. And AMD gets all of their chips from a company called TSMC. So if you're buying a PlayStation, Xbox, or a CPU or GPU on your PC, you're getting the product from AMD, but TSMC is the company that's manufacturing it. And what's more interesting is that TSMC isn't just manufacturing for AMD, they also manufacture chips for basically everyone else. If you're buying an Nvidia GPU, AMD GPU, if you're buying a cell phone, most likely the chip was manufactured by TSMC. Apple gets their A14 and A13 chips produced by TSMC, and most of Qualcomm's chips are also manufactured by TSMC. In fact, if you're buying a lot of other things, a TV, a car, some of your smart appliances, I can assure you there's at least one chip in all of those products that's manufactured by TSMC. TSMC produces almost 60% of the world's available chips, and that number is growing every year. This may be one of the largest chip manufacturers in the world, but it's based out of a small country and its resources are finite and limited. It also makes TSMC's manufacturing capacity very prone to local area issues. If they have to import materials from the rest of the world and there's chaos going around because of certain other world events that's preventing those materials from reaching Taiwan and going to TSMC's factories, TSMC is going to have a hard time manufacturing these chips for all of these people. Recently, you saw that because of chip shortage, car manufacturing has gone down. In fact, they've produced more chips this year than they ever have in the history of chip manufacturing. So they're increasing their capacity rapidly. And by the summer, AMD, Microsoft, Sony, they're all pushing TSMC to produce more chips for their products. So the manufacturing capacity that TSMC has is actually steadily increasing. So what's the issue here? Why am I saying that the chip shortage is actually going to get worse before it can get better? Well, there's a couple of reasons why. For one, the world economy is still not running at 100%. Postage and delivery services, both local and international, aren't running at full capacity. This means it's getting more and more difficult for TSMC to get all of the raw materials it needs to manufacture their chips. And the little material that TSMC gets, they then have to refine and manufacture into chips. And to refine and manufacture the raw materials into the chips that we use in our phones, tablets, consoles, and GPUs, TSMC has to refine them and clean them using a very important resource: fresh water. These chips are so small and so precise that the water they use must be very pure in form, and that's actually difficult to do. So they can't just take ocean water and start manufacturing using that. They have to use very pure filtered water. And the biggest issue happening in Taiwan right now is that they are going through a massive drought. The drought is getting so severe that TSMC is actually using water tanks to store the water so that they can continue to manufacture throughout the drought until the monsoon hits and the water supplies renormalize a little bit. But until then, the amount of chip manufacturing that TSMC was able to do while already restricted is now even more restricted. This means that over the next couple of months, you're going to see fewer consoles being manufactured because TSMC isn't able to provide the chips. The car industry's already taken a hit, and a lot of car manufacturers aren't actually producing new cars just because they can't get their hands on these chips, and they won't be able to for the next few months. New GPUs are getting paper releases, and they're not really available in stores anywhere. A city might get 10, 20, or 100 GPUs of each model every day or two. And that's just not enough to meet the demand of the thousands and millions of people who want to get their hands on these products. There's not really much that humanity can do about it, and sometimes it forces us to slow down and compromise. There are so many online forums talking about chip shortages affecting PC gaming and console gaming and mining and miners taking all of the available supply and whatnot. And the most important thing we can do right now is be patient until the situation resolves itself slowly. The world will eventually go back to normal, and we'll be able to get our hands on the products that use these chips eventually. But what this situation's taught us is that a lot of the electronics that we manufacture in the world right now is going through a single point of failure. And that point of failure exists because most of the world is dependent on a single company or a single entity for most of the chips that they use in their products. And this is something that's going to have to change, and I'm sure they're working on that change before these issues start to be resolved. Well, the United States is taking steps to increase its chip manufacturing capacity within the country itself so that it's not so reliant on TSMC and other international manufacturers of these chips, and many other countries are following suit. So hopefully this situation won't happen again in the next decade or two, but right now there's a massive chip shortage and the companies responsible aren't actually able to do much about it because a lot of the chip shortages are actually caused by the unwavering whims of the natural world. That's all the thoughts I had for you guys today. If you like this type of content, make sure to drop a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you want to see more like this. Remember to always keep learning. Bye-bye.